Hello, hello,
Happy
hello.
Halloween.
We have been waiting and wanting to come talk to you about BU, the Inner Circle. We're about to open the doors October 25th to the 31st this year. And so we wanted to be able to come and talk with you about what is BU, who is the membership designed for, why would someone join, what does someone go through as a member. And so we have a number of things, laid out to be able to talk to you. So I'm Kathleen Metcalf, and I'm an admin team success coach and own Inspired for Results, where we coach agents and admin on how to work well together and set up their systems. And Margaret Smith, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Margaret Smith. I often go by Mo, and I own a company called I Love It When, where I coach and consult with entrepreneurs and operations, and also run a retreat for admin and real estate, and then get to join Kathleen in running BU, the Inner Circle.
So we are going into month number 9, right? This is a dream come true of something that we have seen for the operations administrative component of the real estate industry, where the professional and personal development, in order for people to be able to really thrive in their lives, in their career, we saw that there was a place where training halted. And where there was opportunity to be able to really grow, to have the life and the career that you want. So the Inner Circle, BU, is for real estate, admin and operations people, for people who are in operations or administration in their own business, TC owners, a la carte admin who have their own business like that. People may be in marketing or social media support for real estate agents. So we're really have created a membership, a place of learning and community for these administrative operation professionals to really be able to grow and see, who are they becoming, and then what kind of career and life do they want to have.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we started out by sharing that, because I know some people have reached out to me and said, oh, I'm a TC business owner. I didn't realize I could join. And yes, absolutely. Anybody who works in that kind of realm of helping, basically in the real estate industry as a service-oriented person, all the operations behind the business.
Yes, because there's a trend and a movement happening in the real estate industry. There are more teams, and there are different kinds of operations and administrative positions that are being born out of that. And therefore, there's other kinds of opportunity, both in terms of being an entrepreneur as an admin or operations person, but also inside a team. And what does it look like to become a strategic business partner? And some of that is about what database do you use and how else can we organize, inside the systems. But a lot of that is, who are you becoming? To be able to find your voice, to speak up, to understand how to make a strategic difference. What does that look like? How are you viewing the company? And so where do you learn that? And so what we're finding is that that is happening inside BU, the Inner Circle, from the success path that we have designed, the different kinds of reading and speaker and exercises, that people's lives and careers are changing. They are able to step into things that they really want to do for themselves.
Yes, it's really exciting.
It is. And so one of the examples I wanted to pull up about the future of what we can see is in what we call the sister company, Pro REA Staffing and Hire Lab, where employers can go to find education and services about hiring, and where admin can go to find really great admin ops jobs in real estate. So they have up on their website, and maybe we can put this in the comments below as a link for people to check out, right? There is a director of sales and operations position open in Los Angeles. And this position is for someone who is a proven, positive, creative, enthusiastic person, solution-oriented, self-confident, self-motivating, the ability to collaborate in a group setting, is analytical, exceptional ethical standards, the right hand to a CEO. So this position has a compensation package of $100,000 to $150,000 in a salary. And with bonus and incentive, the opportunity to earn $350,000. So this is a real job that exists today,
Yes.
right now. And so we see that more and more teams need a chief operating officer. They need a chief financial officer. They need a sales director.
Mhm.
They need people to be able to rise in leadership as an admin. And so what we are doing is helping to participate in what does that look like for each person to be
Mhm.
able to do their professional development, which we have learned in BU turns out to be a lot of personal development of unconstructing and then reconstructing what it is that you really want to stand for and who you really want to be.
Mm-hmm. I put a link to that job example in the Facebook live here, and I was thinking about going this live over the weekend as we were preparing for it, and I was thinking, I really think back to all the different systems and processes that I worked with while I was at Pickett Street, and
Right.
it wasn't like that I became a pro at Infusionsoft, which is a database and email system. It wasn't that I became a pro at Infusionsoft. That wasn't what made me a better leader or made me stand out on the team or in the community. It was really realizing that it all starts with me, and that to be a better leader, I have to become the best version of myself. So we've really seen that come to fruition, and it's still continuing to happen in the inner circle.
And, so let's also talk about, it doesn't mean that someone in administration or operations has to have an enormous amount of ambition to be able to really become a strategic partner. That's
No.
one example.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have members that would really like to feel healthier
Mm-hmm.
and have more peace of mind,
Yes.
to be able to balance their work and their family,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to set clear expectations, either with their team members or with their clients if they run a TC company or they have their own real estate admin company. What does it look like to be able to really work with, the kinds of personalities, the kind of high demand, the kind of high sense of urgency that
Yeah.
often comes at an admin operations person
Mm-hmm.
by the nature of the business? So how does someone learn to stand ground, be able to be accommodating and pleasing at the
Mhm.
same time, not get run over and work 7 days a week and feel like you
Yes.
can't take vacation. And
Yes.
so, what is that balance? What does that look like? And so we're also finding that our members are being able to step into these areas of their lives, in their businesses, with their family, out of becoming more of who they are.
Mm-hmm. And this is also you just reminded me of something else we've talked about with Vanessa Rosenblum lately, which is this is a really interesting time in the job market with COVID, with the great resignation, as they're calling it, with lots of people leaving their jobs. This is a really interesting time where things are going to change in the real estate industry as far as what admin take which jobs and what they're looking for. And so as employers as well, I think it's really important for business owners to pay attention and invest in their admin and really take the time to understand that if they want this person to have this type of job that helps to really run their company, they need to have that personal development, that community, and that network to maintain that level and grow. Yeah.
Yes, because this is not something that happens just organically all by oneself. It's certainly possible to get outside training and do that, but that may also be challenging if someone is working 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 hours a week, working 5, 6, 7 days a week, right? So sometimes in admin and operations, the work tends to get higher. And if someone doesn't know how to be able to say, okay, I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
Now we have to be able to figure out what other kind of support do we need? What other kind of positions might there need to be, so that otherwise admin tend to just let capacity overflow and then burn out and then quit.
Yes.
And so that is a pattern that Mo and I have seen over and over, that Pro REA staffing has seen over and over, and it is avoidable, but it is difficult to sometimes be your own consultant. You're going through it, right? Because it's actually a problem of success.
Yeah.
And we've had very successful year in real estate this year. Some teams are doing more volume than they have ever done before, and at a frenetic pace to be able to, as we say in the country, make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to plan for, if this kind of pace is going to continue, then what does that look like inside in terms of schedules, support? And there's also an expression, that we use in coaching, which is, at some point, your systems break.
Mhm.
And that's also often a sign of success,
Mhm.
because now the way you've designed it is not enough anymore. But that's
Mhm.
also very difficult to fix
Mhm.
while you're in it, all
Mhm.
by yourself, trying to get the work done. And
Yeah.
so having a community, having a place to be able to say, well, how did you do that? We do 75 deals, you do 150. How do I set up my system to be successful for that?
Mhm. And to realize, yeah, you're no longer alone. You actually have other people you can bounce ideas off of. You don't have to be the most incredibly innovative person. You can be innovative with other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
to do that. I would agree. All right. So in terms of, this is, the construct of why we created BU, why we designed, and we'll go into detail now about, what does it look like to go through the success path? What are some of the goals of why and the motivation of why admin would want to be a part of this group?
Mhm.
And what is some of the motivation as a business owner, if you're an agent or a team leader or a broker, right? We have pricing available at a group or a brokerage level. If you would like to have, all of your admin come and participate, so they not only have their own camaraderie, but they are now exposed to a national and really international. So we should talk about that. So
Mhm.
we welcome people who work remotely, including virtual assistants who are outside of the country.
Yep. Absolutely.
Welcome. And we have that as a part of our membership now. And so, I too, right, we have a wonderful virtual assistant at my company. Her name is Joyce, and we have her through the agency Level, asklevel.com, and Clint Mullenberg is the founder. And Joyce just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with us, and she's based in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And we absolutely adore her. She does a fabulous job for us. And because my whole team is remote, it's no different to me that she's in the Philippines or that she's in Minnesota or Washington State, doesn't really matter. And so, we welcome the fact that those admin that are working for different teams in different places around the world also can come and have community and
Mhm.
growth.
Mhm. Every single member adds a different perspective, and it's a really cool piece to it.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the success path.
Okay.
We designed the success path consciously, from our own experience, from what you had done at the retreats,
Mhm.
to then be able to see what would that momentum look like to be able to help people move through different stages of learning about themselves,
Mhm.
recognizing the kind of choices that they had,
Mhm.
making decisions, which would then have them leap to the next place.
Mhm.
So let's actually take one step back a moment and talk about your retreats,
Mhm.
because the success path was born out of the fact that you have had 4
Mhm.
annual retreats, the PNW Pacific Northwest retreats, which have had fantastic results for people.
Mhm.
They're 3 days long.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? That's 362 more days a
200
year.
days in the year. Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit about what you saw from the success out of the retreats, and then what you wanted to be available for people to continue their learning and their growing.
Okay. I think what I was hoping for with the retreat and what happened was even better than I imagined, which was it was like a boost for all of us. We came together for 3 days, and all everything happened in that short time period, like you said. And so it's kind of overwhelming, not kind of, it is overwhelming from my standpoint as the organizer, but also as the people participating, because it's an opportunity to have a pattern interrupt is kind of how I think of it. So like you're going along, this is how it's got to be, this is how it's got to be. And then boom, you have this 3-day event where all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is not how it has to be. I can actually have more time in my week, more time for my family. I can speak up. I can have a voice. My voice matters. My perspective is actually shared by the 35 other people in the same room. I'm not crazy. I know what I'm talking about. I can speak with confidence. I can make decisions. I can be an advocate for myself and help push my team forward. And so we would come together for these 3 days, and then people left and made huge leaps and bounds in their jobs. And so it was not unusual to have a real estate agent come to me after that event and say, what did you do to her? what happened to her? Like, she's come out a whole different person, and all of a sudden she's telling me what to do, and I love it. Like, agents are always looking for admin that take initiative, that are coming from a place of like positivity and generosity and a place of abundance. And you can do that more easily when you have support and when you have a network. And so we saw that take place in the retreat, and we saw this just wonderful energy. And then we wanted to stay connected. We wanted to stay connected throughout the year. And I just did not have capacity at the time to do anything else outside of the retreat. But I had in my head, like you have had in your head, this idea that some point in the future, there would be something that continued that feeling, so that it didn't just end, because we could maintain that contact through social media and through, staying in touch with each other. But it's much easier when we actually see each other's faces twice a month in the inner circle. So it definitely, I can see how it's carried over and the feeling gets to continue. And that's one of the coolest things.
Yes. So thank you. So because I attended your retreat this past time. It was the first time you'd ever done it virtually. Right, because of the condition that our world was in. And I can say that it was incredibly powerful, even virtually. So in person, I can only imagine, right? But one of the formulas you had at the retreat that we have carried into BU, the inner circle, is that there are exercises, that there is a safe place, that there is an opportunity for vulnerability with the intention set of having it be productive. There is exposure to thought leaders, to authors, to people who are doing research. So we have brought all of those elements into BU, the inner circle, because you saw after 4 years of doing the retreat, how incredibly effective that was.
So powerful. And I mean, and I think I've shared this at the retreat before too, but part of the reason I created the retreat was for myself as well. So as the leader of it and someone who organized it, I also am creating a place where I can advance myself. And so coming from like a selfish place, it also feeds me. And so when I created the agenda and I thought about the speakers, and we've done this for the inner circle, I'm always looking for people who are going to take us to that next level. Like, that is what I love to do. I love going after new information, new resources, new education that can help all of us really become, again, the best version of ourselves and be comfortable in that best version.
Yes. And so now what we're also seeing, right, from your 4 years of experience with the retreats, now we're coming in on 9 months at BU, the inner circle, is that while we created a success path that's linear, we also figured out it's actually circular.
Very much so.
The journey is really never over, right? You're not ever like, yeah, I graduated, I'm all done, I'm all cooked. No.
Yes, and that's the most beautiful piece about it. I think when I realized that a couple of years ago, that, oh, this never ends. I just go and I find new things to work on and new things to pull apart. New versions of myself keep coming out. And that's kind of the most amazing, that's the coolest thing. And it's cool. It's really a beautiful thing to watch it happen with other people, so that they get to witness you and you witness them. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I see you doing that thing. I see you taking more time for yourself. I see you making changes that are having a positive impact in your life. And then it inspires me to continue on.
Yes. So let's talk about this, the success path and the stages. And then let's also talk about the format, what it looks like to be a member of BU, the inner circle.
Okay.
So let's talk about, so share with us the design, if you will, and then we'll go over some details.
Okay. So when we're thinking about the stages, each stage lasts 2 months. And so we did that purposely because we meet twice a month on the second and third Friday of each month from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 1 to 2:30 your time, Eastern Time. And we meet as a group, all of us together, and then we also have accountability groups. And so along with meeting with the big group of right now 35 people, you get an opportunity to meet with maybe 5 or 6 other members of the inner circle on your own once a month to begin to really deepen those relationships and get to know people. So each stage we have 3 milestones. And those are 3 basically activities or things that you have on your list that you need to do and be accountable to. So for example, in the first stage, we have read a book, meditate daily, and then do 2 assessments. And the book for stage 1 was The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And so we read that as a group, we discussed it the second month, and then those other activities you did and helped keep your accountability group accountable to doing those things.
Mhm.
And so that's an example of what stage 1 looked like.
And then how much time do members tend to spend on the BU group in any given week? So how manageable is this for a busy person?
Oh gosh, I mean, so let's say taking stage 1, for example, reading the book, meditating daily for, I think we suggested 1 to 2 minutes a day was it. I would say probably no more than an hour a week. And again, it's all about learning how to prioritize, right? Like we talked about time a lot with the Big Leap, because Gay Hendricks had such a fabulous way of explaining how our concept of time affects our lives, right? So people often say, well, I don't have enough time for this. I don't have enough time for that. And really what it comes down to is building your awareness, understanding what your day looks like, and then prioritizing yourself. And so, yeah, I would really say you and I really work hard to make sure that the things that we have as milestones are not so huge that people feel overwhelmed by them. And at the same time, I am always going to be the type of person that's going to push people. So like, because that push is oftentimes what you need to have another breakthrough, to have like, to realize that you can do something, you can prioritize yourself, you can make those moves. And it's really important that you see yourself taking those steps. So the milestones, we talk about them before we give out the next stage. And yeah, it's really, and I feel like we should say that we don't give out the next stage until this current stage is over. And part of that we do very purposefully and intentionally, because I know people like to look ahead and work ahead. And then again, you're not in the present moment. So we keep you present, we keep you in it. We really dig into the books and we dig into those milestones to make sure we get every ounce of goodness out of them.
Yes, and in the big group, right? So now we're at 35. We had initially 40 people, and different things happened in people's lives. We had some people have children, and some people moved, and right. So we've had some change there, but we intentionally have everyone together in the big group. Sometimes during our sessions together, we break out into breakout sessions on Zoom. So there is also sometimes a more intimate experience on Zoom. And then we change the accountability group every 2 months, right? So there's a rotation effect where people are getting to know other members. So we see the power of everyone coming together in community all together. And that group could certainly be larger. So we've decided to open the doors again, right? We anticipate that we'll open the doors quarterly. But to be able to let people have the experience of being in a wonderfully big community, but also then be able to break things down into 6 people and be able to have that intimacy and that community all in the same experience of membership.
And this reminds me of what Kristen Kemper was telling us when we went live with her a couple weeks ago. And she said, she worded it so perfectly. The inner circle really is a journey that's led by yourself. Kathleen and I give you milestones and you have your accountability group, but we're not like, you must do this or you can't move on. No, because the truth is in life, it is up to you. It is up to you. And so we give you these milestones, and if you don't do them, you don't do them. But the accountability groups really do a great job of helping people engage and saying, okay, I really want to work on setting aside time for reading this month. Can you guys keep me accountable to that? So I wanted to make sure to mention that. And it looks like we have a question that might be specific to what we're talking about. Ad is asking, how big is the group and how much personal goal setting can we expect? I love reading books and discussing them. So we mentioned that the group is about 35 people right now. And because of the accountability groups and the way that we run the meeting, I could really see it being as big as 50 to 60 people and still have that same intimate feel to them. And then how much personal goal setting can we expect? Do you want to answer that one?
Well, we definitely give you the opportunity to set personal goals of all varieties. And then we design the success path activities and milestones so that people can meet their goals. And then we encourage the accountability groups to be able to share more detail with each other. But it certainly is, we often have, worksheets and, other kinds of exercises for people to be able to flesh out, well, what is important to you? What are your values?
Mhm.
What are your goals? What is your motivation about why you want that goal? So
Mhm.
yes, that is absolutely a part of what we work with people to do.
Yeah, I would say you have such a great way of saying this too, how we really take the time to deconstruct first,
Yes.
because you can set a bunch of goals, but if they're not actually in alignment with what you want, then you won't feel that kind of passion to accomplish them. And so a big part of this is figuring out, who are you and what do you really want? What do you want to accomplish within your career, within your job? And then I would say too that there are members who reach out to each other. We saw this happen in this first stage. They reach out to each other and say, "Hey, can you text me like every Friday and ask me if I've done this?" So it comes down to you and how much you put in, and however much you put in is what you will get out. And so reaching out to other members and asking for their help, asking them to engage with you is, I think, a really critical piece of really getting the most out of this group.
Well, and then what we also saw from your retreats, Margaret, and then in our own personal experience, and then we have seen that inside BU, the inner circle, is that you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And you often may not know inside of there that you have a limiting belief, which is why you're
Mhm.
not achieving the goal. So when we have been interviewing and asking current members about their experience of being in BU, almost everyone has said, "Oh yeah, it's not really what I thought it was." It's different.
Yes.
Surprise. And we try to be transparent and explain it, but I think sometimes until you're actually in it, you don't really have a context for what we're describing. But
Mhm.
it is so imperative to be able to recognize that we are products of our environment,
Mhm.
consciously and unconsciously. And
Mhm.
if what you're now trying to do is have a conscious life
Mhm.
where you are really engaged in the quality of your experience and what you want to achieve, then you have to get really conscious about that. And that means that there is, some sorting.
Mhm.
We kind of have to Marie Kondo your mind. You know what I mean? We got to get in there. And if it does not bring you joy, we got to let it go and replace it with something else.
Uh-huh.
And so there has been that element of BU, which has delighted and surprised, I think, most of our members of like, oh, this is really something. I didn't know that. And, they're
Yes.
learning about themselves and then being able to go into goal setting and go into action plans and all those things from a whole different plane of
Mhm.
really being able to participate in that.
Mhm. Yeah, I know one of the things that really inspired me when I was like 2 years into my job at Pickett Street as an admin in the real estate world was just getting to meet other admin at conferences and meet admin from around the country who were doing different things. It was inspiring, it was motivating. It was like, oh, they do it like this? Okay, let's try this. And so I think that was when Jesse Moore, who's the owner of Pickett Street Properties, realized like, oh, this is the benefit of having an admin who networks. You bring different ideas into your business. So oftentimes when you're in the same market with, let's say you have an admin mastermind in your market, so in like the Pacific Northwest as an example, you don't really want to share everything, right? It's not like we handed out our operations manual to everybody in the area and said, hey, here you go, you can have this. But it's much easier to share things with people in different markets. And so that's yet again, another benefit is you can call someone up and say, hey, how did you run this 500 person event? And they will share things with you that will help the business. And so there's a huge benefit to having your operations staff networking with other admin, huge for the business.
Yes. And I can say, personally in my business, right? So I have a real estate training and coaching business, and I have loved being able to get to know these admin, and I'll say in particular, the ones who have their own business, because I need resources to be able to refer to my clients so they can have a project done, so they can know where to hire someone, how to promote something. And so there really is this incredible network of sharing business and complement, of who does what, because I know that you experienced this when you were still at Pickett Street, that you were a referral source.
Oh yeah. I was like, I mean, one of the benefits of me hosting that retreat, which Jesse saw immediately happen, was who do you think people think of when they have a referral for the Seattle, Washington area? They're like, oh, Margaret Smith. I remember she's in Seattle. I went to her retreat, or they heard about the retreat.
Yes.
And so I know several admin, and Anna Parker would be another one with her mom, Amy McLeod, out of Salem, Oregon. So her mom sent her to the retreat, and the next year, I think they got 5 referrals from different people at the retreat. And Amy was like, "Are you kidding me? It paid for itself like that." Like that's just so it's such a great example of when, because not only are agents networking and finding referrals, but oftentimes as the admin, you're asked, like I would have agents on our team ask us all that, "Hey, Margaret, who do you know in Houston, Texas? Hey, Margaret, who do you know in Illinois that I can send someone to that you trust?" And
Yes.
so when you start to build that up, it's a value add. I was a value add because of the people that I knew. And it's a way to make yourself really indispensable when you create that kind of leverage for your team, and you can come into a team meeting like armed with this group behind you that's here to support you. It's really amazing.
Yes, because there's 2 sides of a referral, right? And not just the giving and receiving, but on the receiving side, there's the sale. And then there's the operational side of the sale. So when you know that you're referring things to one another, and not only is the salesperson going to be terrific, but they're going to be able to do the operations and the administrative part of the deal well, now we're a double winner.
Yeah. Yeah. And so often, like having an admin that on the other side of the deal, they're going to be well taken care of, all the details are going to be worked out, which is huge for a real estate transaction.
Huge.
Yeah.
Okay. So stages,
going back to the stages. So stage 2, that was, let's see, we started in February. So that was April, May. We read the book, The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. And then the other 2 milestones were Observe Yourself and An Act of Worth. I loved these ones because they make people very uncomfortable. And it's not that I love to see people uncomfortable, but I have to tell you, I love seeing people get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is where you can grow. And so the Observe Yourself was go out to lunch or breakfast or a meal by yourself, and then videotape yourself for, I think we did like 15 minutes minimum. And this is something that real estate agents would always hate that I had them do when they were on the team, but you can learn so much about your body language, about your speaking skills, about what you're communicating and how to communicate better. It is critical. And so that was stage 2, along with the act of worth was anything you decided upon that made you feel worthy. So a lot of self-care came up in this stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I'll also mention on your website, iloveitwhen.org, there is a BU page. If you go to my website, KathleenMetcalf.com, it takes you to iloveitwhen.org BU page. So we list out, right, the success path in terms of its names and stages. We don't give away all of the secrets, but we give you enough information so that you can see, right, over the course of a year, we have very intentionally named and structured different phases of growth so that people could be able to walk through those exercises and come to, learn, understand, make different choices, make decisions that they feel good about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really exciting. And so should we give them one more stage as an example? Sure. Okay. So for stage 3, the next book was epic. Untamed by Glennon Doyle was the book. And then the other milestones were to teach. So to either teach in your accountability group on a topic, or some people taught in their market center. Mm-hmm. And then the 3rd milestone was accountability. So asking 2 people to observe you as you taught. So again, it's about watching, learning from yourself, seeing where, deconstructing again, like Kathleen's talked about, where you need to kind of relearn maybe some things that you learned from the earlier part of your life. Yes. So something that we spend a lot of time talking about is how, in the first 7 years of our life, this is where we learn a lot about how to operate. So we talk about our operating system. We are all like our each own individual little computers. And there are some things that we learn when we're growing up that, whether we like it or not, they don't really benefit us. And so this is, again, an opportunity where you have to watch yourself and say, hey, okay, I don't like my mindset. I don't like that I'm so critical about myself. And then you can work to rewire your brain. Right. So that's where stage 3 was. Untamed was such an epic book for this group. It was really perfect timing.
Well, a lot of permission, right, to evolve. a lot of permission to become a new person. And, one of the things that we have seen and heard and talked about with the members of BU is their individual frustrations with the habits they have gained, which is piggybacking on what you said about in the first 7 years of our lives, where people have learned to cope. Right? We've learned to cope with different kinds of things in different kinds of ways. And at some point, those ways of coping expire, like they are no longer effective. They are no longer creating the life that we love. And so whether that's, watching TV, drinking Diet Coke, whatever those habits are, avoiding certain situations because you don't know what's going to happen, that list goes on and on and on. And so that has definitely been a part of the exercises and the opportunities. At the same time, right, as we talked about, if someone doesn't want to teach and you don't want to do the exercise, then you don't do the exercise. It's no big deal. But if you want support and you want to be able to go and do that and try that and step over the threshold into what would it be like and what would I learn about myself, rock on, we're there for you. So once again, it's your program and we provide the opportunities and the structure.
You just reminded me of another aspect that we talk a lot about is how to help admin and anybody in the group really with confrontation and with hard conversations, not just by using the book Fierce Conversations and talking about that dialogue, but it's really been a part of a lot of the different conversations that we've had over the years, because again, as a business owner, one of the best ways that your employees can add to your business is by giving you real, truthful, honest feedback in a positive way. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. And I think a lot of times there's so much fear worked up from the admin side about being fired. That's probably the number one thing I hear about all the time, being fired or just like having themselves painted in a certain way. But really then as the business owner, you're not getting all the information you need to grow your business and have the best business possible. And so all of the work that we do absolutely adds to that piece too, of them having the ability to say, hey, it's time for me to say something, and be able to have that conversation knowing you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, in a confident, constructive, open, productive information. So this is reminding me of Susan Scott's beach ball example, right, that everyone on the team stands on the beach ball in a different color. The salesperson is on the green stripe. And the business owner sees the business from that perspective. And the admin is standing on blue or orange or yellow, depending on what their role is. And so they have very valuable observations and data and maybe even questions. And why are we doing it this way? And for that to be able to come together, that is part of how you scale. That is part of how you can duplicate and move forward in a business, but you can't just do that from the perspective, I'm singing to the choir for myself. I can't just do that from my angle, right? I have to know what is the reality of your job.
Yeah.
That's one of the other, I guess I'll say patterns I have seen in businesses that are growing is that they keep adding tasks. They don't ever take any away. And so it just becomes drowning. And so how do we add the right tasks, but then what do we look at either streamlining or delegating so that the business really is able to grow? Because, overloading someone's capacity is not growth.
Absolutely. And I would say alongside with that as well, from the admin perspective, I've talked with a lot of admin clients of mine and before I started my business who were, well, I don't think if I delegate these things, what am I going to do? Like they're worried about working themselves out of it. And I'm like, you're already working like 70 hours a week. You don't think you have, you don't have some stuff to give up. So it's that, and that is absolutely can hurt a business, right? Because when you should be hiring someone for this growth that you're experiencing, what's going to happen is stuff starts falling through the cracks. And then you lose those clients. You lose that business that you worked so hard to build. So there's that's again where the honest conversations come into place, where you have to say like, and I had that experience where I was like, I've never hit my capacity before. Is something wrong with me?
Right.
I thought I was good, but maybe I'm not that good. So way I got perspective was I got to talk to other people and say, oh, okay, how much business do you guys do? Oh, okay. So we probably should have hired someone like 8 months ago. That never would have happened if I hadn't spoken up, if I hadn't said something. And so you're right. Like delegation and feeling safe enough to speak up about needing to delegate and that, hey, it might be time to hire. Can we talk about this?
Yes. Yes. And so I think this sort of leads into what's the profile of someone that might want to become a part of the member, in addition to their goals, like where are they in their own career and their own development?
Mhm.
So it might seem like, right, 2 90-minute sessions a month, right? Oh, I don't have time for that because we're so busy.
Mhm.
But that's exactly where the investment may need to be made in order to be able to know, well, then where should this admin stay, and how should that impact their part on the team? And then what else, could we create? So sometimes that busy admin that's been on the job a year, 2 years, 3 years or more,
Mhm.
and then wants to be able to gain a different perspective, that's a good person to become a part of BU, the inner circle.
Mhm.
An admin that has been in position a long time
Mhm.
and would like to have a fresh perspective in a community to be able to have things stay fresh. Because I know teams where people admin on the team have been together with their agent 15, 20, 22, 25 years. It's not as common, but it happens. And so
Mhm.
one of the ways to do that is to also be able to keep things fresh.
Mhm.
So that's an opportunity. What else do you see, Margaret, about, where people are? Business owners.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that was the most important piece, was for people to understand that there are people in here who own their own admin businesses. So with COVID, a lot of people have left their jobs and started their own admin businesses where they do marketing, social media, data entry, they take on project work for agents as a third party. And so anybody who owns a business like that is welcome. I mean, and I think we mentioned this on the website too, where the most important piece is that you are someone who wants to grow and wants to get out of your comfort zone and wants to be a part of something where you're really being motivated and supported and inspired to be more than who you are. And so that could be at the beginning of your real estate journey. Like, I wish I'd had something like this on year one. I probably would not have felt like I had the time. But again, whenever anybody pushes back about time, I'm always like, are you willing to stay on that hamster wheel then? For how much longer are you willing to stay on that hamster wheel? Because nothing's going to change if you keep doing the same thing. And so you have to be able to pause, slow down, and do something like this in order to get new information to change how you're operating. So, I mean, at any given time when I was on Pickett Street, I can think of, I was a part of like 3 different admin masterminds. So that was 3 different meetings a month for anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And that was fully supported by the real estate agent that I worked for, because he saw the difference that it made, not only in my attitude and feeling supported, but also in his business. So
And I
yeah.
think we also figured out that to spend 90 minutes in BU for the owner, for the agent, the team leader, if they wanted to trade that time, right? So there's one thing to compensate for that time. That would be wonderful. If someone wants to trade for that time, it's like 22 minutes a day for 4 days.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's also available to work that out. And so what does that look like? Where is the compromise? Where is there a trade for that? We do have it right in the morning or at lunchtime, so that like you can eat your lunch with us. It's okay.
Totally. Absolutely.
It's okay.
Yes.
All right. What else should we talk about around structure? We have a Facebook group. We have a place where we keep homework and assignments organized.
Yeah, everything is basically everybody gets a calendar invite, and in that calendar invite is a link to a spreadsheet where you have all the contact information for every member of BU. So again, you have an opportunity to go through, email people, call people. We have them list out like a couple things that they're really good at. So if you're looking for someone who's really good at marketing, you can find them in that list and give them a call.
Yes.
The team, we have all the team information, what teams they're on, where they're located. Everything is made as easily accessible as possible. And then you also get a Monday email from us. Every Monday you get an email with what might be a reminder of the milestone and what you should be working on, or perhaps an article or a video or something that adds to the conversation that we've been having, whatever it might be. Yeah, so we make everything, I always believe that I want to make everything as easy as possible so that we don't create obviously we don't want to create any other obstacles to your learning. Yeah.
And then let's also talk about, how do our members feel about new members coming in?
Excellent question. They're excited. We have been very intentional about asking questions, asking for feedback before we started the inner circle, while we've been in the inner circle. And we told this original BU inner circle group, hey, we told you guys that this was going to be the initial group. Would you like us to keep it as it is through the end of the year and start a separate group and then join them together, in February 2022? And everybody said, no, bring them in, bring them on in. We'd love to see some fresh faces, get some new energy, and just continue to grow it. So they're excited to meet you, whoever you are.
Yes. And so I thought that was such also a wonderful element of the spirit of the group, right? Because we did ask them, we did make sure that this was something that the group felt good about, and they do. And so I also think that's something to bring up here so that people feel welcome about all of that. How about the fact that, well, these people have already been in for 8 or 9 months, and how is someone ever going to catch up, and how are they ever going to be able to know what to do because they're just coming in? So what would you say to that question?
That sounds exciting. That sounds really exciting. And the cool thing is, Kathleen and I are here to guide you. So all of the previous sessions and meetings that we've had are available in the Facebook page that we have. So you can go back and watch them at your own leisure. We don't require that you, obviously, like we've said earlier, you don't have to go back and watch all the previous meetings. Like we've talked about with the Success Circle, it is ever evolving. So you can hop in right now at this point and be totally fine.
Yep,
because
we've seen it happen.
Yes, it's a new conversation, and we've had a couple of people join us throughout the year as replacements for different people if they've had to leave. And the experience is you just step right in where we're at, and introduce yourself, start reading the book with us, hop right in like that, and it's perfect.
Yeah, because we did this homework, sort of unwittingly in the beginning, right? Because there's 2 ways to join BU. You can join by the month, or you can join with an annual subscription. And so some business owners in particular bought a year for their team. And when one person on the team needed to leave for whatever reason, like someone had babies, someone moved. And so then they would replace that admin. And so we've had that happen 2 or 3 times, and it was seamless. And so we asked them, how was that for you? Was that a difficult transition? How would we prepare someone? And they were like, no, it was easy. We just came in, said hi, looked at some things in the Facebook group, started in, with what was going on, and it was really quite seamless. So we have already had the experience of knowing that it worked beautifully.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm checking to see if we have any other last questions. If you guys are watching, feel free to put any questions in the chat box. We have about probably 3 more minutes before we should step off.
So let's talk about money.
Yeah. Money.
Right. So we designed the membership subscription fee also intentionally. We wanted it to be something that was enough of an investment that you would recognize the value that you were getting. But we also wanted this to be something that we thought that admin could afford to pay for themselves if that was the route that was appropriate for their situation. So that's $111 a month. And then someone can buy an annual subscription for $1,111 a year, which is a slight discount off the $111 a month. And as a side note, Margaret and I did do a little numerology research about the number, and we chose the ones as a part of your benefit. And so we, have tried to design every piece of this membership to be supportive. And so we encourage admin to be able to look at their budget. And if you would like to have a conversation with one of us about, well, how could I do that? We would be happy to walk through that with you. If you want to have a conversation with your agent, your team leader, your broker, whoever that might be in your life that might be willing to sponsor that for you, then we would also be, happy to talk with you about having that conversation. Margaret has already volunteered to get on the phone with people. And
if you want to have your agent call me directly and talk about the benefits and why it matters, I would love to have that conversation. I always offer that, and I haven't had anybody take me up on it yet, so please do. But this reminds me of, we have had some fabulous members of the current inner circle offer scholarships for the first month. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I think I want to try this out, but I just don't know for sure if I want to spend $111, reach out, because we have 2 members currently. One that's going to sponsor, I think, another admin on her team, but then 2 others who want to sponsor someone. So it's so cool to have current members who actually want to do something for the new members coming in. It's really exciting. So yes, compared to, if you think about the coaching, different coaching programs that you know that are anywhere from $400 to over $1,000 a month for one-on-one coaching, at $111 a month, you're getting access to Kathleen and I on a regular basis, and an amazing group that has an agenda set where we have a purposeful, intentional agenda and success path. So I would love to talk to brokerages. So if you guys know of brokerages that you think should have all of the admin staff or offer it as something for their teams, please have them call us, because this is our whole goal behind this, is to access and reach out to as many admin as possible to create a beautiful network and a place where they have support. So
Agreed.
yes.
All right.
Cool.
That's everything. Any other questions come in?
No, people are, Curtis is so sweet. Curtis is sharing his input as a current member. And then Ada said, I can be your first. I would love for you to call Joel. Let's chat. Oh my gosh, Ada, that would be awesome. Okay. All right. Love it. Thank you guys so much for being present, and for feel free to share this live Facebook video to your own page so we can get as many eyes on it as possible. That would be something else you could do to help us.
So when are we open?
Yeah, next Sunday already, right?
Monday, the 25th.
Monday, the 25th. Yes.
Through
12 a.m.
Sunday, Halloween. We close the doors at midnight on Halloween. But we open for a week from Monday, October 25th through the 31st. So we close the doors midnight on Halloween.
Yeah, 7 days only, you guys, for a very purposeful reason. So you get in right within those 7 days, and that's it.
And then we rock and roll. And so you can get on the waiting list to be ready to come in when we launch on Monday from iloveitwhen.org on the BU page. There's a waiting list.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. If you have any other questions, just put them in the comments and tag us, and we'll come back to this live video.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take us out of Facebook. Save. Wait. Whew. Okay, we're good.